Speaking of which, let's do our top 5 countdown of movie heroes. And it makes me sad that I added Superman like that.
I know, it's great. It's
awkward.
No, I totally get it.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with number 5. If you guys are just joining us, this is top 5 countdown, where we just pick different things, usually in line with whatever we're talking about, and we list off our top 5s. Today is movie heroes. Do you guys have any parameters on yours? I have a parameter on mine.
The parameter I put on myself, they had to be influential in my life, but also mainstream. So like I have a wide scope in terms of what a hero is in the first place. And so I didn't want to go I didn't go like indie with it, I guess, so to speak. Like I went for some of the low-hanging fruit because they truly are my favorite heroes. So
nothing wrong with that.
Nice.
How about you, Paul? What you got? Any parameters on yours?
So my parameters were just my top 5 favorite hero types, and then I just had to pick them for each one. So I explained why. That makes so
Love it. All right, parameters I put on mine are my top 5 heroes that taught me something about having integrity. So let's kick it off with number 5, and I'm going to kick it off with you, Schmash. What's your number 5, sir?
Ash Williams.
Ooh,
I like it. People would call him an anti-hero, and that's just not true. He's not an anti-hero. He's definitely not a superhero or anything. He's almost like originally a reluctant hero, I would say. And then he comes into his own in Army of Darkness, and especially, the TV show, like Ash versus the Evil Dead. He's peak Ash at that point, even though he's old.
No.
And like, he's quippy. He's a good guy. He does the right thing, even if it's all about getting the girl. In D&D, he'd be a chaotic good character, Like, I dig him. I dig Ash Williams.
I love it. All right. Paul, what you got for number 5?
Number 5, I went with my tragic hero, and I went with Dom Cobb from Inception.
Okay. I like that. And a tragic hero you went with. I dig that. All right. What about him stands out to you?
I guess just kind of that relatability of sometimes, I'm not going to put all my personal stuff on blast, but just being able to connect that, they're personal things that I know I need to get over, but I'm still hanging on to X, Y, and Z because I don't want to forget, said person or said thing. So like the whole thing with his wife and the flashbacks and all that, I absolutely get that because you sometimes just want to hold on to something. He was a good guy. He was willing to go to extremes to get what he needed. But yeah.
Love that.
I love it. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Does he get his kids?
Did he?
Yeah. How did you think he got? I think he did because I don't think the top was his thing.
It's not his totem.
His totem. I think it was his wedding ring.
I like that.
So I don't know, but and he always had it on, so we knew he wasn't. So I don't know.
I'd like to think he would because he never thought of like the distant dream of that past a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Because he couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to see his kids again or hear their voices for real. So I think he did end up getting back to them just because of that end.
I love it. Optimistic ending. I dig that. All right. My number 5 is Will Kane from High Noon, who was a great character. If you've never seen this movie, it's one of the greatest Westerns of all time, if not the greatest Western of all time. Gary Cooper, Grace Kelly, just truly amazing. I cannot say enough about it. Made at a time about McCarthyism and the Blacklist, and just such a beautifully done movie that encapsulates all of that heroism, but not about the hero. It was his courageousness, his bravery. That's what I learned from this character. A man who, against all odds, still stuck up for what he believed. And he stuck to his commitment, and he stayed brave through it all. So, Will Kane from High Noon, highly recommend. All right, Number 4, Dr. Smash. Well, pre-Dr.
My number 4 is Luke Skywalker. The chosen one. Growing up, like everybody else, I pretended I was, it was hard to choose between him and Indiana Jones. I just chose Luke because honestly, like I always appreciated his journey in all three movies. And he truly embodies like living up to the things that you're fated for. And I really dig that.
I love that. That is a really great answer. Thank you.
Simple, but yeah.
I dig that a lot. How about you, Paul? What's your number 4?
So my number 4, we're going to go with the anti-hero, and I went with John Wick. And I'm
Dog
not.
lover?
Yes, that's mainly the whole basis. Is I'd like to think if someone killed my dog, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, you guys, but I'm saying you need to get some retribution for that. Like that's your pup. That's your. I'm a big dog person, so 100%. And he's totally an anti-hero because he slaughters how many people now? Like it's up to 400 kills. So he's not the good guy for all intents and purposes. But yeah,
That dude's
that's my
like
anti-hero.
That dude's like, if you took the ticket against me, you die. Like that's
Yeah.
it. At what point? At what movie? Because there's going to be a 5. So
Yeah.
at what movie do they finally say, "All right, can we just leave him alone? Can we just
Isn't
get
there,
him in
isn't there a TV show too called The Continental coming?
Yep.
Yeah,
It came out. It's on Peacock. It was
It was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was out. That's my bad.
Ryan says John Wick is his number 1 top assassin. I quit my training after 200 kills, so I got bored. I love it. All right, my number 4 is Virgil Tibbs from In the Heat of the Night. He's so virtuous. Like he lives for the virtue. His virtue. That's it. Like he's doing.
I've actually never seen the film, only the TV show.
The film is just top notch. But like he taught me about standing tall, standing proud, being who you are, not letting anybody take that away from you, or knock that away from you. Especially with when the movie took place, who was in the movie, where it took place, the whole 9, like all of the themes in that movie. But he played it. Sidney Poitier played everything perfect, but he played it just so beautifully, and it was just truly an amazing movie hero, in my opinion. So that is my number 4, and then we're gonna go on to number 3, the big 3. What you got for me? Mine get a little sad here.
Number 3 for me is Wolverine. Growing up, I don't see, like, I know other people have qualified him as an anti-hero and they've written about it. I don't agree with that analysis at all. Obviously he's not like your typical hero, but I do think that, again, like I live in this area of you just do what's right at the time. And I remember watching the comics after reading some of the comics, watching X-Men, and then those X-Men movies came out in the late 90s, and I was like, this is exactly how I pictured Wolverine. And then fast forward to Logan, which I think is a top 20 movie of all time, a perfect film.
Oh, yeah.
Logan just shows that no matter how far you get from center, you can always come back, and I think that's a really good lesson.
Love it. It's a good one. Wolverine. All right, Paul, what you got?
So my number 3 is going to be the reluctant hero, and I can't tell you how many times Sam and I have watched these movies, but I went with Harry Potter because he non-stop will tell you he doesn't want to end, like he doesn't want to be the guy, but he is the guy.
I call bullshit on that. That kid was all about it. He lived under a staircase. Of course he wanted to be the guy. He was like, I'm important for like 3 seconds. I was like, I don't even get gifts.
But Harry Potter is just amazing. So I guess that's my only real connection with him. Is just,
I think I called him Wand Jesus in my analysis in undergrad.
I can see that. That makes sense.
Space Jesus, Wand Jesus, Sand Jesus. Like,
oh no, you misunderstood that book. He's not a hero. He's not an anti-hero. He's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. We get into this all day, but I'm gonna go with my number 3, which is George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
You love that movie.
I love that movie. He always stood up for his community, what reluctantly or not. I would say reluctant hero. He always wanted to go off and do his thing, but he stuck around. He stayed with it. He was always there. He suffered. I mean, dude dealt with a lot. So, and through it, afterwards, God threw him a bone, which was nice. God, it's nice.
Love it.
I love. So I just love the way he stood up to. Again, I like when they're fuck the billionaires, fuck the millionaires, whatever they are. Except for President Donald J. Trump, who is great. I mean it. Number 3. Number 2.
Speaking of ultra billionaires, Batman. I love Batman.
You're so different on ours.
I love Batman So much. I remember in 1989 when Tim Burton's Batman came out, and I got it on VHS and I watched it on repeat as a 6 and 7-year-old. Like I was obsessed. Batman, everything, and suddenly Luke Skywalker and Indiana Jones and all the rest of it, Ghostbusters. They all went in the closet, and all I cared about was Batman. I think that Batman represents the best of what we can be, sure, with billions of dollars, but he stands against the night, for lack of a better way to put it. And I love pretty much every depiction of him. And I'm soft on you know this, Mick hates this. I'm soft on the 2 bad Batman movies. I'm soft on them. I enjoyed watching them, but I think that like Batman represents the best of what humans can be. Human.
If you have billions of dollars, if you're in the top 1%, you can be Batman. If you're not, you can get in shape.
Kill to be Batman.
Your car's not going to be bulletproof or anything. Anyway, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to debate in this right now. I can't debate Batman versus Superman. All right.
My favorite line. You know what my parents taught me? Dying in the gutter. Like that's what a great line. God. You can't kill that which came from the dirt, Mick.
Paul, what do you got for number 2?
My number 2, I went with the everyman hero, and I think so. Since John Wick was on the list, obviously that's one of my top. So I think on the other hand, a movie that I found very, I guess, more realistic, like actually kind of made more sense and wasn't as fantastic as John Wick was Nobody. So I went with Hutch from Nobody.
Great.
Oh,
I love that movie.
You're very twisted, Paul.
I'm a fucked up person, Mick. I know it. You know it. You guys know it as viewers or listeners. I'm sorry.
All of Mick's heroes are lawful good. All of mine are chaotic good. All of Paul's are chaotic neutral. If you notice.
I love it. All right. So my number 2, and I picked from a specific movie because this one taught me loyalty, the integrity of loyalty. And that is Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
Hell yeah.
Specifically 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, all comes into frame when it comes to James T. Kirk. But this movie, as much as Khan is such an amazing movie and has one of the best friendship movie scenes of all time, one of the best heartbreaking movie scenes of all time, one of the best movie deaths of all time, I can go on forever. It's this movie that really shows, I think personally, the loyalty of the entire bridge crew. You see it a lot, but like in the TV show, sporadic form where the couple were together here and there doing this. In the first movie, it really wasn't. They were kind of like torn all asunder, trying to get used to it. The second one,
the writer and the director's fault, though. The first movie,
yeah. Well, of course, but the second one, so good, so great, but it is wartime, and you don't get that the camaraderie, like this one you do, and it has a desperate search for his friend and all that. He's just loyal to everyone, and even his loyalty being tested with his son at the end. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Awesome.
That's my number 2. And number 1.
Number 1 for me, and unquestionably Optimus Prime. I feel like I got my own code of honor from him. Like number 1 with a bullet. Makes a big Home Alone.
No, not with the bullet. Not with the bullet. Number 1 with perfect precision.
Nice.
In fact, I think I might make him my number 1 just to show my love.
I think that like Optimus Prime has, and the best part is that like the guy who voiced it, I always forget his name, but I went to this special for the 30th anniversary that like where they interviewed Peter Cullen. It was Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, and they interviewed them, and they did this whole thing where they voiced the first episode live, and it was really cool. But the code of honor is based on his brother who served in Vietnam and came home a hero. And I think that like heroes know how to sacrifice what's necessary. And I'll honestly never forget being 3 years old and getting traumatized in the theater when Optimus Prime died, and my mom had to bring me out of the theater.
Spoilers.
Because I was completely losing my mind as a child. She could not get me calmed down. And
did you think he was coming back?
I was like, I'd already kind of understood it. Like, I have vague memories of like my life at that time. I just remember her pulling me out of the theater. She's embarrassed. Of course, it's 1986. I got smacked. But it's this thing where like he inspired everything in these undercards. These guys that were vastly overmatched by the Decepticons always, and he was a great leader. And even in the new, I have a soft spot for the Bay movies, even though I shouldn't. They're just absolute trash. But like, I still enjoy watching them because the second Optimus Prime comes on screen, I am 5 years old sitting in front of the TV eating my cereal. So Optimus Prime, man, he represents what I hope is the best about me.
If I remember correctly, after he died in the movie, Optimus Prime didn't come back until Beast Wars.
He does. He comes back in season 4 of Transformers.
Does he? Oh, okay. I thought for some reason it was like years later in Beast Wars he came back. Is what I heard.
Oh man, am I showing my nerd? So he comes back twice. In season 3, comes back as a bad guy with these spores that bring his robot body back alive, and then 4, they find a way to bring him back in a 5-part episode, and it's the Many Faces of Optimus Prime. It's called They have to basically piece him back together because of a crisis with Galvatron. So
pussies.
Deep Transformers die for the day.
Let the man die. Just like let the robot die. Just leave it alone. Let it go. No. All right. Paul, who's your number 1 on your list?
My number 1 hero, I kind of cheated, so you guys bear with me. Don't hate on me too much. But I went with Chris Kyle from American Sniper, honestly. Awesome. That movie kind of made me, like, I'm not saying I'd never respected a service member before, but that really showed how much, to me, movie-wise, that showed really how much they sacrifice and how much they put their own emotions even to the side. And even when they're breaking, they're still doing what they think is best for his country. And I thought it was beautiful. And I thought it was a beautiful moment when he calls his wife and he's like, it's time, like, I'm ready to be home. Because I think a lot of times, we hear about heroes, especially due to war, and we don't hear about the mental illness. And I think that movie and his story, it just does a great job of just covering everything. So I went with Chris Kyle from American Sniper.
Awesome.
My number 1 is, I pulled it up. It's Wreck-It. It's Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it. God, I love that pick, Mick. I love that pick.
I think he's such a great hero, and teaches you that doesn't matter what labels people have for you, you can be your own hero. Go out there, save the day. I love Wreck-It Ralph. I think it's a
great movie.
A great message about self-acceptance too. Like that's it. Like what a wonderful film. Both of them, I enjoyed both of them a lot. Yeah. I actually, in the theater, my wife and I took 2 kids to see it, and they were, kids, so they didn't start tearing up or anything. But Ralph is diving towards the thing at the end. He's like, I'm just me, and that's okay. My wife and I are like, collapsing in on ourselves, and the 2 kids looked at us like, what the hell is wrong with you? And like, but I love a good redemption sacrifice story anyway. He is a great hero, Mick. I love it because he it goes back to that idea of it's what is inside that counts. And like, I think that Ralph, he's like the accidental hero and then becomes the real hero at the end. When he understands
I disagree. I think he always had the heart of a hero. It was the labels that were being told him and the box he was being put in that once he struck out from that, was inspired by his friend, he became the hero that he actually was. I think we all have it in us. So that'll be my message to end off our top 5. We all have a hero inside of us, except Paul. It's a demon. No tables.
I'm going